The stars looked peaceful that night. But Captain Marcus Hale knew better. In space, peace was usually just the quiet moment before something terrible happened. Marcus sat in the pilot chair of an old maintenance ship drifting above Earth's outer orbit. The ship was called the Rust Sparrow, and it had more scratches than a veteran soldier. Marcus liked it that way. Scratches meant survival. He leaned back and stared through the wide cockpit window. Thousands of stars burned silently across the black sky. "Status report," Marcus muttered. The ship's AI answered immediately. Its calm voice echoed through the cockpit. "Status, everything is stable. For now." Marcus smirked. "That sounds suspicious." "You say that every time," the AI replied. Marcus took a sip from a metal cup filled with terrible coffee. Life had changed a lot since his military days. He used to fly combat ships in dangerous missions across the galaxy. Now he fixed satellites and repaired broken cargo ships. Quiet work. Boring work. But Marcus had learned something important in life. Quiet never lasted long. Suddenly the console beeped loudly. Marcus sat upright. "Unknown vessel approaching," the AI announced. Marcus frowned. "There's no scheduled traffic here." The radar screen blinked again. The ship coming toward them wasn't human. It was small, elegant, and glowing with strange silver light. Marcus slowly stood up. "Well, that's new." The mysterious ship moved closer until it hovered beside the Rust Sparrow. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, reflecting starlight in strange colors. Then the docking request appeared on Marcus's screen. Marcus narrowed his eyes. "Should I be worried?" he asked. "Statistically speaking," the AI replied, "yes." Marcus laughed softly. "All right then. Let's see what the universe brought us tonight." He opened the docking bay. The alien ship glided smoothly into position. A soft hiss echoed through the station as the airlocks connected. Marcus rested his hand near the plasma pistol on his belt. The airlock door slowly opened. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a figure stepped forward. Marcus froze. The girl standing in the doorway had long silver hair that floated gently as if gravity barely touched it. Her glowing violet eyes reflected the stars outside. She looked older now. Stronger. But Marcus recognized her immediately. "Ayla," he whispered. The alien girl smiled. "Hello again, Captain." Marcus blinked in disbelief. 7 years ago, Marcus had found her alone in a crashed alien vessel drifting near an asteroid field. She had been injured, scared, and barely alive. He had rescued her, protected her, hidden her from military command. Then one night, she vanished. No message. No explanation. Just gone. And now she was back. Marcus rubbed his forehead. "You disappear for 7 years," he said slowly, "and then show up at my door like nothing happened." Ayla stepped fully into the docking bay. She looked around the old ship with curiosity. "You still fly this thing?" she asked. Marcus crossed his arms. "Don't change the subject." Ayla smiled slightly. "You saved my life once," she said. "I remember. And I never forgot." Marcus studied her carefully. Something about her felt different now. Stronger. More confident. More dangerous. "So why are you here?" Marcus asked. Ayla's smile faded. "Because the galaxy is about to have a very bad day." Marcus sighed. "Of course it is." She stepped closer. "Do you remember the beings who destroyed my home world?" Marcus nodded slowly. "You said they were monsters from another dimension." "Yes," she said quietly. "The Riftborn." Marcus leaned against the console. "And let me guess, they're coming back." Ayla looked out the cockpit window toward Earth. "They never left." Marcus straightened immediately. "What?" Ayla activated a small device on her wrist. A holographic map of the solar system appeared between them. Several red points blinked near the edge of the system. "They've been hiding between dimensional fractures," she explained. "Watching. Waiting." Marcus felt a chill run through him. What are they waiting for? Ayla looked directly at him. Humanity. Marcus laughed once. That's a terrible plan. Ayla tilted her head. You don't sound worried. Marcus leaned forward and studied the hologram. Because I know humans. He pointed at the red markers. They think we're weak. Easy prey. Ayla nodded slowly. That is exactly what they believe. Marcus grinned. Then they just made the biggest mistake in the universe. Suddenly the ship shook violently. Warning alarms exploded across the cockpit. Marcus grabbed the console. What the hell was that? The AI spoke urgently. Massive gravitational disturbance detected. Outside the window, space itself twisted. A swirling black tear opened in the stars. Lightning-like energy ripped across the darkness. Ayla stared at the rift in horror. They found us already. From inside the tear, something enormous began to move. Something ancient. Something hungry. Marcus took a deep breath and slid into the pilot's seat. Well, he said calmly, retirement was fun while it lasted. He powered up the engines. The rust sparrow roared to life. Let's show them what humans do when monsters knock on our door. Ayla smiled again. And far beyond the stars. The war for humanity had just begun. Space exploded into motion. The rust sparrow shot forward like a frightened animal escaping a predator. Its engines screamed as Captain Marcus Hale pushed the controls to their absolute limit. Warning lights blinked across the cockpit like angry red stars. Behind them, the rift in space grew larger. It looked like a wound torn into the universe itself. Dark energy spiraled around the opening while lightning-like cracks spread across the void. From inside that black tear, something enormous moved slowly. Something alive. Marcus tightened his grip on the controls. Well, that's definitely not friendly. Ayla stood behind him, her glowing eyes fixed on the widening rift. They're probing our reality, she said quietly. Testing how stable this dimension is. Marcus glanced at the radar screen. The sensors were struggling to understand what they were seeing. BX, Marcus said, tell me we're faster than whatever that thing is. The AI answered immediately. Statistically unlikely. Marcus sighed. Great. The rust sparrow flew past a broken satellite and dived toward a debris field of abandoned mining equipment. Marcus knew the area well. Years ago it had been an asteroid mining operation before the corporation went bankrupt. Now it was a floating maze of metal structures. Perfect for hiding. Marcus guided the ship between the giant rusted frames of old mining rigs. Sparks flew as their hull scraped dangerously close to a floating antenna tower. Easy! Ayla shouted. Marcus grinned. If it was easy, it wouldn't be fun. Behind them, the rift pulsed again. Then something massive emerged. A shape darker than space itself slowly pushed through the dimensional tear. Its body was impossible to fully see, like reality itself refused to understand its form. But one thing was clear. It was huge. Ayla's voice dropped to a whisper. A rift-born scout. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That's a scout. Yes. Marcus nodded slowly. Good to know the apocalypse starts with the small ones. The creature extended long tendrils made of flickering shadow. Each one stretched through space like searching fingers. The sensors went crazy. Dimensional gravity spikes detected, BX warned. Marcus frowned. Translation. It's trying to grab us. Marcus slammed a switch. Not today. The rust sparrow dropped power suddenly and drifted silently between two massive metal towers. Marcus shut down the main engines completely. The ship floated motionless. Ayla looked confused. What are you doing? Marcus leaned back in the seat. Playing dead. Outside the window, the rift-born tendrils swept through space. One passed only a few hundred meters away. The ship remained completely silent. Ayla watched Marcus carefully. You're not afraid, she said. Marcus shrugged. Fear is useful. Panic is not. The creature searched the area for several long moments. Then slowly, it withdrew. The massive shadow retreated back toward the rift. Ayla exhaled slowly. You tricked it. Marcus smirked. Aliens always underestimate humans. The rift began shrinking. Within seconds, the enormous tear sealed itself shut. The stars returned to their normal positions as if nothing had happened. Silence filled the cockpit. Marcus restarted the engines gently. Well, he said, that was exciting. Ayla sat down in the co-pilot seat. That was only a scout. Marcus nodded. I figured. She activated the hologram map again. Now dozens of red markers blinked across the outer solar system. Marcus stared at the display. How long until the real ones arrive? Ayla hesitated. Maybe 3 days. Marcus whistled. That's not a lot of time. No. Marcus leaned back and thought for a moment. Then he started laughing. Ayla blinked. You're laughing. Marcus nodded. Because they're making a classic mistake. Ayla tilted her head. What mistake? Marcus tapped the Earth symbol on the hologram. They think humans are weak. Ayla studied him carefully. You seem confident. Marcus smiled. Human history is basically one long story of impossible odds. He pointed at the blinking red markers again. Bigger enemies. Better technology. More power. Ayla crossed her arms. And humans still won. Marcus grinned. Every time. The AI suddenly interrupted. Incoming transmission. Marcus frowned. From who? Earth Defense Command. Marcus raised an eyebrow. That's new. The screen flickered and a holographic image appeared. An older woman wearing a military uniform looked directly at Marcus. Captain Marcus Hale, she said. Marcus straightened immediately. Admiral Rodriguez. Ayla looked surprised. You know them. Marcus nodded quietly. She was my commanding officer. The Admiral continued speaking. Captain, our deep space sensors detected the rift-borne probe you encountered. Marcus scratched his chin. Probe is a polite word. The Admiral didn't smile. Humanity has known about the rift-borne for some time. Marcus blinked. You knew. Yes. Ayla leaned forward. You've been preparing. The Admiral nodded. For 20 years. Marcus felt a strange excitement building in his chest. You built something, didn't you? The Admiral finally smiled. Yes. The hologram shifted to show an enormous structure floating in orbit around the moon. Marcus's eyes widened. What is that? The Admiral's voice carried quiet pride. That, Captain Hale, is humanity's answer. A massive ring-shaped structure rotated slowly in space. Energy pulsed across its surface like lightning trapped inside metal. Ayla stared in shock. A dimensional stabilizer. The Admiral nodded. We call it the Atlas Array. Marcus leaned forward. What does it do? The Admiral's expression hardened. It closes dimensional rifts permanently. Marcus grinned. Oh, they're really not going to like that. The Admiral looked directly at him. We need someone who understands rift-borne behavior. Marcus sighed. Of course you do. Ayla smiled. Looks like retirement is officially over. Marcus looked out at the stars again. Then he cracked his knuckles. Good. Far away in the darkness, the rift opened again. But this time, thousands of shadows were waiting behind it. And humanity was about to prove something the entire galaxy had underestimated. Humans don't just survive monsters. They hunt them. The moon hung silent above Earth, but the space around it was no longer peaceful. Hundreds of ships moved in perfect formation around the massive ring structure known as the Atlas Array. Human warships, defense satellites, and engineering vessels surrounded the enormous machine like workers preparing a weapon the universe had never seen before. Captain Marcus Hale stared through the cockpit window of the Rust Sparrow as they approached the massive structure. Even from kilometers away, the Atlas array was breathtaking. A gigantic metallic ring, nearly the size of a small city, rotated slowly in orbit. Lightning-like streams of energy ran along its surface. Deep inside its core, a bright blue light pulsed like the heartbeat of a giant machine. Marcus let out a low whistle. "Okay, I'll admit it." Ayla crossed her arms beside him. "Admit what?" Marcus grinned. "Humans have been busy." Ayla's glowing eyes scanned the structure. "This machine, it bends dimensional space." Marcus nodded. "That's what the Admiral said." Ayla looked impressed. "My people spent centuries trying to build something like this." Marcus chuckled. "Well, humans had a strong motivation." Before Ayla could reply, the communication channel activated. Admiral Rodriguez appeared on the screen again. "Captain Hale, welcome to Lunar Defense Sector." Marcus saluted casually. "Nice toy you built, Admiral." The Admiral smirked slightly. "Thank you. It took half the planet's scientists and 20 years of secret work." Marcus leaned forward. "So what's the plan?" The Admiral's expression turned serious. "Because the Riftborn are coming." Right on cue, the radar alarm screamed. The stars ahead twisted again. Ayla's face turned pale. "They're opening a full invasion rift." Marcus looked at the forward window. Space itself cracked open like shattered glass. A massive dimensional tear spread across the darkness. And this time, it was enormous. From the rift poured shadows larger than any ship ever built. Dozens of riftborn war creatures began sliding into real space. Their forms looked like living storms made of darkness and lightning. Even Marcus felt a chill. "That's a lot." The Admiral's voice remained calm. "All ships, battle positions." Human warships instantly moved into formation around the Atlas array. Energy cannons began charging. Missile bays opened. Defense drones launched by the hundreds. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "You weren't kidding about preparation." Ayla stared at the Riftborn fleet. "They wiped out my entire civilization in less than a week." Marcus cracked his neck. "Well then, let's make sure their week gets a lot worse." The first Riftborn creature lunged forward. Its massive shadow body twisted like smoke, stretching toward Earth with terrifying speed. Human ships opened fire instantly. Brilliant blue energy beams sliced across space. Missiles exploded against the dark creatures, tearing pieces of their bodies apart. But the Riftborn kept coming. More shadows poured through the rift. Ayla whispered quietly, "There are too many." Marcus watched the battlefield carefully. Then he smiled. "Not yet." The Admiral spoke again. "Activate Atlas Array." The giant ring began glowing brighter. Electric arcs spread across its surface. The central core burned with blinding blue energy. The Riftborn suddenly reacted. Several of them turned toward the machine. They understood the threat. 3 enormous Riftborn charged toward the moon. Marcus leaned forward. "Here we go." Human defense ships rushed to intercept. Explosions filled space as both sides collided in a storm of energy. But the Riftborn were powerful. One massive creature slammed into a human cruiser and tore it apart like paper. Ayla's eyes widened. "They're breaking through." Marcus grabbed the control stick. "BX, power up everything we've got." "That includes systems I strongly advise against using." Marcus grinned. "Exactly." The Rust Sparrow shot forward into the battle. The small repair ship weaved between massive warships and swirling alien shadows. Ayla looked shocked. "You're attacking them in that ship." Marcus laughed. "Humans don't always win with bigger weapons." He pushed the engines harder. "We win with better ideas." Ahead of them, a Riftborn giant reached the Atlas array. Its shadow tendrils wrapped around the giant machine. The structure trembled. The Admiral's voice came through urgently. "If that creature disables the array, Earth is finished." Marcus accelerated straight toward the monster. Ayla grabbed the console. Marcus, what are you doing? Marcus activated a hidden panel. Something stupid. Inside the cargo bay, dozens of experimental gravity bombs armed themselves. Ayla's eyes widened. That will destroy your ship. Marcus shrugged. Probably. The rust sparrow flew directly toward the rift-born creature. Its enormous glowing eyes turned toward the tiny ship approaching it. Marcus smiled. Hey, ugly. He hit the release switch. The bombs fired directly into the creature's shadow body. Marcus slammed the engines into reverse. Hold on. The bombs detonated. Space twisted violently. A massive gravity collapse tore through the rift-born creature, ripping its body apart and pulling it away from the Atlas array. The giant shadow screamed silently as it collapsed into nothing. The Atlas array stabilized again. The Admiral shouted, "Fire the array!" The giant ring unleashed a wave of brilliant blue energy. The pulse spread across the battlefield. When it reached the dimensional rift, reality itself slammed shut. The massive tear collapsed instantly. Every remaining rift-born creature was dragged screaming back into their dimension. And then, silence returned to space. Marcus leaned back in his chair, breathing heavily. Well, he said. That was exciting. Ayla stared at him in disbelief. You risked everything. Marcus smiled softly. Humans do that sometimes. The communication channel opened again. Admiral Rodriguez appeared. Her voice carried pride. Captain Hale. Earth owes you a debt. Marcus shrugged. Just doing my job. Ayla looked out the window at Earth shining below them. For the first time in centuries, she whispered, the Riftborn are gone. Marcus nodded. They'll think twice before coming back. Ayla smiled gently. You know something, Marcus. What? My people once believed humans were reckless. Marcus raised an eyebrow. And now? Ayla looked at the stars. Now I think humanity might be the bravest species in the universe. Marcus chuckled. Don't tell the aliens that. He looked at the peaceful stars again. Because somewhere out there, other civilizations were watching. And they were learning a very important lesson. Never underestimate humanity. Because when the universe throws monsters at humans, humans build bigger answers.